even know why I like watching shit like this, but we're gonna be watching songs. Something about some white food poison, something. All kind of somebody. Oh, I can see.
Every time you give me something, I don't feel well. But by the time he figured it out, it was already too late. One moment, Rolando was drinking the orange juice his wife had just handed him. The next, he was on the floor, dying. And the most chilling part, his 9-year-old son had died the exact same way. At first, no one suspected Karen Oviedo. She was soft-spoken, attentive, always present, holding Rolando's hand at the hospital, wiping away tears at the funeral, even keeping the family business running like nothing had happened. But behind that quiet, caring mask was something much
It's always the ones that are quiet. They be the craziest ones. Not so much. It's always the ones that are quiet.
darker. She didn't need a knife or a gun, just a few drops of antifreeze and a reason. And her reasons, even more disturbing than anyone imagined. Detectives were left wondering, was Karen truly in mourning, or had she been orchestrating the entire thing from the start? This is the twisted story of the sick wife who poisoned her husband and son to become rich, and how one glass of orange juice blew it all wide open. She acted concerned when her husband started vomiting and gasping for air, but deep down, she knew exactly what she had done. But let's rewind, because long before that day, people in Guaymalan, a quiet part of the Mendoza province in Argentina, had already started noticing that something about Karen Oviedo didn't sit right. Not anything obvious, nothing you could call the police about, just little things. Because like many monsters, Karen didn't look the part. In fact, she had grown up in that very town. People thought she was harmless. She smiled and talked with everyone and even painted a customer window by hand. But those little details, that's how she played the long game. When she met Rolando Angel Aquino in 2016,
Why bro kinda look like Steve will do it? What the fucking name again? Steve will do it. Keyboard is fucking sideways, bro. Bro, why you can't look like him? Why am I tripping? Bro, they're literally the same person. They're literally the same person.
everyone cheered them on. Rolando was the handsome newcomer from Bolivia, quiet, hardworking. Karen was the hometown girl with a big heart and even bigger dreams. Together, they opened a small store out of their home, and within no time, they became a local power couple. Here's the thing, when someone seems too perfect, that's usually your first red flag. And
Exactly, that's when you can't do pre-other people relationship. You will think the people and them happy the whole time. Them want to kill each other. Your wife could poison you. God forbid, but your wife could poison you.
Karen had a bunch of them. Like the time Rolando caught her in the car with another man. Not rumors, he literally caught them. He was furious, tore the inside of the car apart, but then he forgave her. She cried and said all the right things, and they moved on.
Oh, for the new people that ain't be watching, a wife that poisoned her husband and son. Oh, I didn't even realize that she poisoned her son as well. I thought it was just a hussy.
Not, at least on the outside. But to everyone else, they still looked like a couple who could survive anything. Rolando himself was a hardworking father of 2 sons from a previous relationship. He loved football, stayed fit, and was known for his kindness. He kept in close contact with the mother.
Bro, I'm sorry for pausing this shit so many times, but is it always... It's always when you're taking care of another person's child, that's when they want to be doing crazy shit, no? That's why I can't be no stepdaddy. I ain't gonna be no daddy that stepped up. Find your daddy. I'm not your daddy, bro.
Of his kids and was present in their lives. Karen had 2 daughters of her own. Her relationship history was a lot messier. One of her exes, not even kidding, straight up disappeared, left the country, switched buses multiple times so no one could find him. He later claimed it was because of financial issues, but come on, that kind of exit, that is not just about money. Looking back now, the red flags were there. The cheating, the ghosted ex, the way she could flip from drama to everything's fine without missing a beat. But at the same time, no one, not even Rolando, realized that behind Karen's smile was something dangerous, something calculating. And soon, someone completely innocent was going to pay the ultimate price. In the summer of 2019, Rolando's 9-year-old son, Elian, came over to visit. And from all accounts, his mom, his relatives, neighbors, this was a happy, healthy kid, full of energy, excited. He had literally been counting down the days to hang out with his dad. They had plans, like actual plans for how they were going to make the most of their time together. But then, something changed. A few days into the visit, Elian wasn't himself. He was tired, sluggish, and clearly not feeling well. Rolando noticed, of course, but at first he didn't panic. He figured it was probably just a little bug, maybe a cold or a bit of food that didn't sit right. But on the morning of July 7th, Rolando walked into Elian's room to say goodbye before heading out to work. And what he saw completely stopped him in his tracks. Elian was vomiting. He looked weak, pale, barely responsive. Something was very wrong. Without hesitating, Rolando scooped him up and rushed him straight to the children's hospital. Doctors examined him immediately, and within minutes, they knew this wasn't just a stomach bug. It was serious, life-threatening. They moved him to the ICU. Despite every effort, despite round-the-clock care, Elian didn't make it. He died 2 days later, and when the medical report came back, it didn't say the flu, an infection, or even food poisoning. It said third-degree poisoning, multi-organ failure, blood clots in the brain. These findings left Elian's family.
What the hell is third-degree poison? Me and my sideways computer, boy. Bro, we're cooked as a fucking generation. Everything I use, I type in ChatGPT. Literally, we're cooked. We're cooked. I'm never going to the doctor. We're using home remedies from now on. Wait, what the fuck did I come in here to do? But don't forget. Lord. Can I spell? I don't even know. I don't give a fuck. Bro, what? Yo! Ain't this shit free? Bro. And this is why we don't use... What if... Third-degree poison ivy, what the fuck? Yeah, you see, this is why I have to use ChatGPT. I promise y'all, I'm not reading all of this shit. I don't even give a fuck. But this shit not working. So back to the video.
Family completely horrified. How does a perfectly healthy 9-year-old boy go from planning a fun weekend with his dad to dying of poisoning just days after arriving at the house? No one could explain it. Not Rolando, not Elian's mother, not even...
I'm more than surprised if she Caribbean. I wasn't listening at the beginning, but I'm more than surprised Caribbean woman wicked. All I am wicked. Except for my woman.
The doctors, at least not yet. The hospital recommended a full forensic autopsy to figure out what exactly had happened. But Elian's mother and grandmother were just too devastated. They said no. They were in shock, and honestly, who could blame them? But here's where it gets a little weird. Karen suggested they cremate the body. Now, that might sound like a practical idea in the moment of grief, but to Elian's mom, it felt off. She could not explain it, but something about it just didn't sit right. She refused. She wanted her son buried somewhere she could visit him, leave flowers, talk to him. She needed that connection, that closure. Meanwhile, Rolando was falling apart. This wasn't just a tragic accident, this was his child, his youngest, and he had died right there under his roof. Suddenly, painfully, without warning, he was shattered. And through all of it, the grief, the sadness, the funeral, the impossible questions, Karen was right there by his side. She handled everything, his food, his store, even his phone, and no one questioned it. And after 16 long months, Rolando was finally beginning to smile again. Slowly, he was healing. And the woman who had held him through it all, he believed she was the reason he was still standing. So he proposed, and Karen said yes. To Rolando, it probably felt like life had given him a second chance.
Bro, why the... Nigga, be for real. Why you proposing to a woman if her name is fucking Karen? Bro, get a grip. Get a grip. Get a grip.
Love, stability, and a fresh start. But what he didn't know was that by marrying her, he had just signed his death sentence. It was February 6, 2022. Karen had just come back from what looked like a regular day. Beauty salon, gym session, nothing weird. But when she walked through the door, something was off. Rolando didn't look right. By the next morning...
Oh, bro, I thought they were saying this was her day back from the gym and the spa and all that. She kept... What the fuck? Shawty's not in it. She's not in the mood.
Things had taken a terrifying turn. He was vomiting non-stop, sweating, dizzy, confused, and then suddenly he collapsed right there in the living room. The housekeeper saw everything. She called for an ambulance immediately. Karen rushed with Rolando to the hospital, but it was already too late. His condition was critical, and just a few days later, on February 9th, he was gone. He was only 35, fit, healthy, played football, ran a business. He wasn't the kind of man who just randomly dropped dead, and the doctors knew it. So they ran tests, and what they found chilled them. Calcium oxalate crystals in his system, a clear sign of ethylene glycol poisoning. And if you don't know what that is, it's antifreeze, the same toxic liquid you pour in your car, odorless, slightly sweet, and deadly, even in small doses. There was no way this happened by accident. Someone had poisoned Rolando on purpose.
Why are we just giving away free ball knowledge like this? Why are you just letting people know that this shit is deadly? Shawty's just giving away free ball knowledge. Lord.
And from that moment on, everything started to unravel. Authorities launched a full-blown criminal investigation, and naturally they turned to Karen, the wife, the last person to see him alive. Karen told investigators that Rolando had ordered some drops online, a skin product from their Mercado Libre. She said they both had spots and were using it together, but according to her, he took more than she did. But when detectives asked her the exact name of the medicine, she suddenly couldn't remember. And when they asked to see the bottles, she claimed the housekeeper had already thrown them away. That's when the detectives paid the housekeeper a visit, and what she said next would blow the case wide open. She flat out denied ever throwing anything away, and then she dropped a bombshell. She told the police that she had personally seen Karen mix a strange substance into some orange juice and force Rolando to drink it. Worse, Rolando knew something was wrong. The housekeeper remembered him saying, "Every time you give me something, I don't feel well." But Karen, cold as ever, brushed it off, telling him he was just being paranoid. According to the housekeeper, Rolando drank the juice, started vomiting almost immediately, and then stormed out of the house. She never saw him again. But here's where things get even darker, because it wasn't just the housekeeper who noticed something strange. Neighbors started coming forward too, and what they told detectives made the entire case feel even more sinister. They said they'd seen Karen force feeding Rolando some kind of medication more than once.